what does power mean for you? How many people would say that's uncomfortable to say your no with no excuse? Yeah, okay. How many people are comfortable with their yes? And you keyed on to something important there, the should.
Yeah.
So I'm also a nonviolent communications facilitator. So those of you that are familiar with that, that's Marshall Rosenberg's work, and it's amazing. I highly recommend it. And we always say it's not nice to should on people, and it's not nice to should on yourself, right? Little play on words there, and intentional, because in essence, that's what we're doing. I should say yes to this person. I should be a good friend. And what's the back voice that we're not listening to if we're shoulding? What is the tension? So a few important points in what you shared. One is, first, please celebrate yourself for recognizing that, right? Because awareness is the first step of anything, yeah? So if you're aware, you've identified this pattern. I have put the needs of others before myself, and now I have a need for a tool, which is boundaries. That's awesome. So make sure to congratulate yourself in that. And I would say that's very common, right? Most of us as women are taught to put the needs of others before ourselves. How many people identify with that? Yeah. And it's very, very cultural, right? So those of us that identify as women are often taught to do that, even in the movies and in in music. It's like we're constantly giving before giving to self. And so boundaries are an important tool, an important part of that, and it's listening. So if I'm saying I should tell her yes, what I'm also saying is I actually want to tell her no. But that's the voice I'm not listening to, and that's why we feel that kind of inner resistance. So if you ever hear yourself say should, stop yourself for a second and go, oh wait, what's my truth in this? What's my truth? I don't actually really want to go to dinner tonight. I just want to snuggle in and watch Netflix, right? What would it feel like to just do that? What would it feel like to honor yourself and honor your truth of the moment? I think you're having a need, right? So my need is that I need to connect to people. And I'm aware that I have a pattern of isolating, and I'm aware that that pattern isn't healthy for me. And therefore, I'm going to motivate myself to commit and push through that. And I honor that. I get it. That is very, very hard, right? And how many people here can identify with that on some level? Yeah. So you're not alone in that. We all hit those times as humans where we just want to kind of curl up and push the world away. And there are those steps of helping ourselves and making healthy choices, which is wonderful. And you're here. You're doing it. So congratulations. So when moving back to our yeses and our nos, right? So these are the basic building blocks of boundaries. And boundaries have kind of become a buzzword. It's like, oh, you're infringing on my boundaries. And I think sometimes people get them a little bit confused with needs. And so it's kind of important, maybe we can define what those are. So what would you say the difference between needs and boundaries are? Where does our power end and begin? With ourselves. With ourselves. Right? So this is mine, right? Everything else out there, can I control that? Can I control you? No, but I can control me. And yet, how many of us feel comfortable if someone is coming and trauma dumping, we call it in the field, right? Oh, I had the worst day. How many of us feel comfortable going, actually, could you not? Right? Right? Because we are conditioned as people and often as women to say, sure, I'm here. If you don't do that, you're not a good friend or partner or family member, right? And is it true that sometimes we feel bad for saying no? Yeah, and it plays upon that. So this is why it's important to practice. So one of the things that I want to talk about, because we're going to practice this again, is laughing. How many people laughed during this exercise? I noticed almost everyone in the room, and that is actually a defense mechanism. So we often laugh to dissipate tension, right? And what you'll notice is this is a huge distinction often between men and women. When you watch a man say no, he doesn't laugh, right? Straight face, owns his no, right? And so this time, we are going to use the same partners, same questions, if you can remember them, that's fine. No laughing, straight-faced. And what I would suggest is breathe in through your nose. Exhale down into your solar plexus, right? Our diaphragm, this is our breath and also our power. And just simply say, no. Okay, so let's try again, go ahead. How was that not laughing?
Oh, that was
Hard.
hard.
How many people felt that was very difficult? Okay, great. I'm glad that was good for you, Kalena. So somatic exercises really help us to be aware of our bodies. Our bodies are amazing indicators of what's going on. If somebody walks in the room and they have negative vibes, oftentimes our bodies will freeze, right? Before we even talk to them. So it's a good awareness to get used to our bodies, which will segue into the next segment. But before we go on, is there anything else that anyone wants to share about that part of the exercise? So for you, intimacy away, heart present or head present, right? And so again, listening to our bodies, being aware of how we feel in that moment is so key. Beautiful observation. Intention is to empower us in our no, and by doing that to kind of cut away everything else and sort of get to the source first, and then we will expand from there, which is also another thing that I want to talk to you about is the velvet brick. Okay? So the velvet brick is something that I use and teach in my workshops, and the idea is the brick is the boundary, right? The brick is my no, but I'm going to wrap it in velvet because I don't want to hurt the other person. It's not my desire to hurt the other person. So that's the softness. I hear that that's really important to you. And I really want to help you out, but right now I'm not able to do that. So that's what I call a soft no, okay? And even if they're getting mad, if they're like, but it's my child, to hear that, oh, you love your child and I really want to be there for you, but it's got to be no. And in the end, we stay with our no. We are not accelerating to meet them. They can go up and down, but we're staying with our no. That's a velvet brick, right? It's a soft no. It's a no wrapped in love. Ultimately, it still remains the no, and that's the key, right? How many of us, after a while, it's like, well, I guess I could. Well, I guess I could be a little late to work. Right? Well, I don't really need that $300. I could figure it out, right? And then what are we doing? We're eroding self, right? So no, the brick stays solid. The no stays solid. We just keep wrapping it on it. So again, what am I in charge of? What's my sovereignty? Here, right? So if I know that it's a no for me and I'm standing solid in my no, I can be completely loving for them, right? Or choose not to. I can do Sandy's thing of, okay, it's been an hour, I'm done. You know, like, okay, I love you, I bless you, it's still no, I've got to go now, right? So that's everything outside of my circle. So yes, again, I'm solid in my no. In a way, I'm the brick, and then I'm offering the velvet. Yes. So some things that I noticed in walking around were people sitting like this, shoulders up to ears. I noticed a lot of people with hands like this. Now, if I was up here teaching this workshop like this, did you feel very confident about what I was saying? What if I was speaking like this? Would that be okay? Would you be interested? So this is a very famous position. It's called the superhero position. It's also on your handouts. Okay? And so, otherwise known as Wonder Woman. Now, this is a really fun thing for you to do, but those of you that watch movies, if you are watching a superhero movie, watch how many times the character does that. Literally, they'll land and they'll do this. Right, I'm going to save the world. So many times. And why? Because psychologists have shown that we read body language, okay? And so, what we're gonna do is we're gonna practice our bodies being in power. So often when we have not been taught healthy boundaries, it can feel really aggressive when we begin to practice those boundaries, right? Because often we have this idea that a nice person doesn't say no, right? And so we're fighting against our own stereotype inside of us, so then we're self-judging to, I'm aggressive. However, I will say that an observer would probably go, oh no, you sounded great, right? And that's why it is nice to have people to have people in our lives that support us and can observe those things. So I noticed you and I didn't find you to be aggressive at all, right? And so how was the body language? How did it feel holding yourself in that uprightly? So from a Western medicine side of things, right? So the vertebrae are straight. That also allows the diaphragm to expand. So the diaphragm is where we breathe from, right? And so when we're taking full breath, that's going to give us more confidence, right? So from the Eastern medicine side of things, our chakras are fully aligned. And so our energetic systems are fully open, right? And so there are many different modalities, all of them supporting a nice upright stance, a lifted chin, which means that I'm receptive to what you have to say. Okay, so this time I'd like you to find a new partner, and we're going to challenge you a little bit more. That means we need to get a little more creative. Some of you already have. I've been very impressed. Like I said, I think Robin, you win an Oscar for today.
Yes.
And so we're going to make the questions a little bit harder. Okay, maybe you could think of a situation in your life where you're experiencing this, right? Where it's something where you've had a hard time with a boundary and you could flip it and have them be in that situation, okay? And then the other person, if you're feeling comfortable, as it seems most of you have mastered the laughing defense, you can practice your velvet grip. So again, that's owning our no, being empathetic to what they're saying, but not making excuses. Do we understand the difference? So it's not, well, I can't give you $300 because I don't have it and I didn't get paid. No. It's, I really hear you have a need for $300 and I want to help you out because you're my friend. I can't do that right now, so no. Right? So I'm strong in my no, and I'm giving them empathy. Okay? Does that feel clear? Any questions? All right, so this is the challenge round. So again, before we start, what I would invite you to do for the 3 questions is stay serious throughout the 3 questions instead of taking a break and going, oh my gosh, that was so hard, right? Because what we practice, we put out into the world. And so use this time really, because this is your time to practice, how does this feel in me? Can I stand in this uncomfortableness a little bit? And then after that, you can switch and both, talk about what was up for you. Okay. So should is often an indicator of self-guilt or blame, right? And we can't expect people to love us if we aren't doing the work to love us. And that starts with not blaming ourselves, yeah? So that's where it's a wonderful opportunity to go, you know what? I did the best I could have done right now. And the truth is that when we're learning boundaries, it's probably not going to be clean and tidy. It's going to be messy. And we will probably make mistakes, and that's great. That's why I love the work of Brené Brown. It's like shame, guilt, it's all part of the human experience, right? The most important thing, Debbie, is that we are taking steps towards honoring our truth, right? And that's the best we can do. And then we get to live that example for all the people around us, right? And they get to choose what their experience is. But chances are, if we're close to them and we are owning our no and our yes, and we're learning how to step into boundaries and needs, they will just start learning by proxy, which is a beautiful thing. Because if you break the word selfish down, it's self, I, it's peace, right? And it's so villainized in this culture, especially for women. Yes. And yet it brings us balance to honor ourselves. It brings our ourselves love, to honor ourselves. And the truth is, I'm not responsible for anybody out there. I am responsible for my intention, right? If I come to Kelly and I say, hey, I can't hang out on Friday, I really just need to rejuvenate, and Kelly gets upset, I can care for her, but ultimately that's her reaction. I came honoring myself without intention to hurt her, so therefore I am not responsible for her reaction, right? And I think that's the big difference. But it takes time and it takes practice for, to get clear and to have that discernment. And actually, one of our participants today, one of the things that came up between that couple was that, or pair rather, was that I'm having a hard time because sometimes I'm feeling an authentic yes, but I'm saying an authentic no, right? And that is the point of this exercise. Because oftentimes when we get confused, ooh, is it a yes or is it a no? It's because we have all this gray area, because we have the out and the in, and it's in chaos, right? And the more that we practice our solid no and our solid yes, the clearer that discernment will come. And so my reaction to her was, that's great. If you feel in yourself, yes, I actually could help this person, and it's a clear yes, that's what we're striving for. Clear yes and a clear no. Yeah, clarity. Great. Nice work, everybody. Give yourselves a hand. Awesome. Good. So I just kind of want to go over this handout for you, as this is all for you to take home. Kind of a summary here on power comes from within. These are certainly ways that I invite you, if you have other ways, that's great, you're welcome to call them out or think about them personally, but access through meditation, prayer, journaling, reminders. I'm a big fan of Post-its. I love to Post-it affirmations or things I've learned and put them on my mirrors, put them in my car. I set myself's alarm. I have a 3:33 alarm that says I am powerful, successful, and present. Just reminders in the middle of my day to kind of realign with those affirmations, right? Supportive friends and loved ones are everything. It's so great. And some of my friends, I've said, will you be an integrity partner with me? Will you be an accountability partner with me? Will you be a boundary partner with me? Can we practice these boundaries, right? Practice makes perfect. And then, of course, confidence is the belief in oneself. That's where it all starts. We went over boundaries. So physical, emotional, verbal, time, work, spiritual, financial, and of course sexual boundaries. It's a whole nother workshop as well, very important. The velvet brick, keeping our no and wrapping it in kindness. And the boundaries help us feel safer in our own bodies, our space, and our life, right? So a lot of times if we don't feel safe in the world, it's because we haven't fully owned our power and we haven't expressed our boundaries in a full way. So yes, helping us to be in alignment and integrity with our yes and owning our no. So the language of boundaries, we went over this, the yes, no, avoid the giggling and nervous laughter. That's a great homework assignment for some more than others. Avoid making excuses and practice. So if you don't have a partner, I suggest the mirror. Mirrors are wonderful. Mirror work is phenomenal. So you can practice in the mirror, you can visualize that person that you want to practice with, and say it in the mirror. You can notice your body language, and if you begin to slump or if you're upright, these are all wonderful ways of feedback. I also, just on an off note, really encourage self-love talk in the mirror. It's a really wonderful way. Looking yourself in the eye in the mirrors and saying, I love you, you're doing great. It's awesome. It's really, really good inner work. So we have our Wonder Woman pose, of course, on the next one. So we went over all of that. And then, some of the information for things coming up, I've listed my workshops that are coming up. I do one-on-one counseling, not only as an empowerment coach, but I'm a medical intuitive. So part of the work that I do is I work with people with life-threatening illness and I help them to heal. So that's something that is really important in my life, but as well as empowerment and life coaching. So I've just launched my Instagram there, so you're welcome if you'd all follow it. I sure would appreciate that. So that's one of the ways that you can get a hold of me. I also want to give a big thanks to Good Samaritan, who has sponsored this workshop today, so if we could give them a round of applause.